Hey there.
What you doing?
Nothing, making these videos.
Making videos.
Yes, sir.
How you doing that?
On the internet, I got a YouTube channel now.
Oh, you by yourself?
Yes, sir.
I want to ask you something.
What's up there?
You remember when you bought that damn cooking thing for me?
That cooking. Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you talk to Mr. Yaakov about that?
I'm finna buy this thing for my daddy. This this Shalom, 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 Israel. It's your brother Yaakov back again with another round. And today, um, first before I even start, let me get my fair uses out the way. Fair use, fair use, background, fair use, fair use. And the reason I gotta keep doing this fair use stuff because they'll block the video and stuff like that. So just to avoid all them situations, I just go ahead and do the fair use. And I'm still learning this, so bear with me while I get this on here. It says. Okay. Oh, okay, here you go. Hold on. Okay. It's your brother Yaakov back again with another round. And like I said, I got to keep doing fair uses because I don't want them to give my channel a strike or block out the video. Because I'm finna show a YouTube video of I did this video once before, but it got kind of messed up. So uh, I'm going to do this video again from this new platform that I'm using, and hopefully y'all can see everything without it being delayed. So as always, I'm gonna put the link in the chat. So if anybody want to come on and talk, got some contentions on what's been said, all you have to do is just hit the link and come talk to your boy. You know what I'm saying? Everything be cool. Uh, yeah, so the link is in the chat as we speak. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and get this video going. Now, this video is about his brother named Brother Jerusalem, and this is one of the videos that got me into this walk, and I have never, not yet, turned back once. And with all that being said, let's go ahead and get it. Now, let me make sure the video is fine on my end. Now, let me make sure the video is fine. Okay, we good. We good. But before I do that, let me put my background back on. Okay. Okay. All right, good. We're good. So let's start the video up. Again, this is the brother Urasu, and this is what the video that got me. How can I say? Got me into this walk, and I have never, and I will never turn back.
School system, Negroes were brought to America in 1619, forced to work as slaves on plantations, until one day this great white man named Abraham Lincoln came along and felt bad for the slaves and signed the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, which freed the slaves. But there were still some bad whiteys in the southern states that passed Jim Crow laws for segregation. Afterwards, there came more whites that felt bad and then gave blacks civil rights in the 1960s. Then allowed a black man to have the...
Okay, sorry, y'all. Sorry. Let me, since you don't have to see me for this, let me put my... All right, let's keep going.
Presidential office named Barack Obama. Now blacks are finally equal to whites. We can all get along. The end. Now, moving right along to our English lecture for the day. I don't think so. Black history. What do you know about Black history? Let me ask you a question. Prior to the transatlantic slave trade in the 1600s, what was your nationality? What did you call yourself? Some may say African. Well, Africa is a continent, and in that continent, there's over 47 different countries in there. Which one do you come from? What language did you speak prior to the 1600s? Was it English? There's over 1,500 dialects being spoken in the land of Africa. Pick one. What? Pizza.
All right, give me 1 second.
What clothing did you wear? Was it high heels and stilettos? Skinny jeans and Vans? What food did you eat? Hamburgers and hot dogs? French fries and SpaghettiOs? What religion did you partake in? Who was your God? Was it Christianity and Cesare Borgia? Most of you have no idea about the answer to these questions. You have no recollection of any history prior to the transatlantic slave trade. Now, is that a coincidence or by random chance? I don't think so. Have you ever asked yourself, why is it that in the public school system that every time the subject of Black history is taught, it always begins in the 1600s and with slavery? Why is that? Doesn't that raise some antennas and spark inquiry? Why is it that the public school system is so committed to revolving Black history solely on the past 400 years? Why is that? Is it because there's a deficiency in historical data? Or maybe because there's no history at all prior to the 1600s. Maybe Black people just poofed out of thin air, sporadically, landed on slave ships, and they said, hey, we got a new species here, and start importing and exporting them all over the world. Maybe that's what happened. The question arises, what is the drawback on this history? Why does it keep being withheld? What's the big idea about it? Why is it being held hostage? That's the question. Why can't it be expounded on? 100 years prior to the 1600s? 300 years, 500 years, 1,000 years? Why is that information not being revealed? What's the big secret? What's the mysticism about it? What you're going to come to realize is that your identity is the biggest kept secret on the planet Earth. Oh, you thought that NASA and the space station and the secret missions being conducted by them. Oh, you thought that was the biggest kept secret on earth? No, this is.
Hey, brothers and sisters, just for the record, I, Yaakov, does not believe we live on a planet. But let's keep going. That's another story for another day. Let's keep going.
Bigger than that. You thought that the government and the CIA and the FBI hiding information about UFOs and Planet X and Nibiru and aliens, you thought that was the biggest information and biggest kept secret. No. This is bigger than that. The elite Confederate has spent billions of dollars and constructed an innumerable amount of psychological stratagem to ensure that you never received and acquired this information that's about to be put out. You're about to receive pertinent information from some of the most reputable biblical scholars, historians, and archaeologists. And they all know something that you don't know. And that's your identity. Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. Wait, the churches and the pastors, which are set up by the government, all teach in unison a doctrine that all black people come from the seed of Ham.
Now, people, when he say the churches are set up by the governments, they are set up by them even if they don't know it, because they have rules and regulations you must follow if you want to have some kind of funding or any kind of governmental assistance, to put it nicely. So the brother's not lying. You know, you have to go to their seminary schools in order to become a pastor or to be ordained or whatever you want to call it. You have to go get taught by them so you can learn. So because they all on one accord. They tell you the Old Testament is done away with, which is not. They tell you the law is done away with, which is not. It is not. They tell you that everybody is in Christ. Everybody can be in Christ. Heaven is for everybody, which it is not. But let's keep going. I don't want to keep interjecting, but let's keep going.
But once you open up scholastic sources, you'll find out that the biblical scholars say something totally different from what's taught in Orthodox Christianity. What do they mean by Ham is the father of the dark races, but not the Negroes? The Negroes themselves are a dark race of people. So how can you say that Ham is the father of all these dark races and exclude the Negroes? What are the biblical scholars trying to convey? What the biblical scholars are saying is that you're not African. There's only 4 families, according to the Bible, that make up the native population of Africa, or the land of Ham. And the biblical scholars know that you don't descend from any one of those 4 families. In order to write that in a scholastic and academic book, the biblical scholars have done extensive and thorough research on both the so-called Negroes and the Africans, the native Africans. And they came to the conclusion after the extensive research that the Negroes don't have anything to do with the native Africans at all. They're 2 totally separate people. In the 1840s, Morton collaborated with George R. Gliddon, an Egyptologist, who provided him with mummy heads and information about the racial significance of Egyptian tomb inscriptions. In Crania Aegyptiaca, published in 1844, Morton pointed out that both cranial and archaeological evidence showed that the Egyptians were not Negroes. In 1840, Dr. Morton was trying to find out the racial origin of the so-called Negroes that were in America in slavery. So he got together with the Egyptologists, which supplied him with the mummy heads. And what he did was conduct an extensive research on the cranial remains of the heads in Egypt, in contrast to the cranial remains of the heads in America. And what he found out is that the Negroes that were in slavery were not Africans. He found out that the skulls were two totally different types of skulls. The Negro's head was longer than the Egyptian head. The physical characteristics from the outside look similar, with the thick lips and the broad nose. But once you start delving into the real characteristics, he found out that there were two totally different people, as abolitionists and colonizationists had maintained, and that in fact, blacks had been relegated to the same servile position in ancient Egypt as in modern America. But what Dr. Morton did discover is that the Negroes that were serving slavery in America served the same position in servitude in ancient Egypt when they matched other skulls and other cranial remains in Egypt. They said these are exact matches. So what are the scholars saying? What you're going to find out is that they're saying that you are the biblical Israelites. Yes, you're the same exact people that served slavery in the land of Egypt. You're the same exact people that God sent Moses to go redeem under the hand of Pharaoh. You're the same exact people. And when you read the Bible, you'll find out that slavery is a central theme in the Bible. It's a reoccurring theme with the Israelites. The Israelites cannot run away and get away from serving slavery. It continues to happen over and over, all the way up until today. You came out of Egypt as slaves, came down into the land of Israel. No sooner as you got there, then you had the Assyrians come, capture the land of Israel, and take you and make you slaves. In the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria. You came out of the land of Assyria, went back to the land of Israel. Then the Babylonians came, which are the modern day Ethiopians, the Cushites, came to the land of Israel and made you slaves. So all Israel were reckoned by genealogies. And behold, they were written in the book of the kings of Israel and Judah, who were carried away to Babylon for their transgression. You came out of the Babylonian captivity, went back to the land of Israel. Then the Persians came on down there, took the Israelites and made you slaves. For we were bondmen, yet our God hath not forsaken us in our bondage, but hath extended mercy unto us in the sight of the kings of Persia. You came back from the Persian Medo captivity, went back to the land of Israel, rebuilt the temple up. Then the Greeks came on down there, took you and made you slaves, to entreat them that they would take the yoke from them. For they saw that the kingdom of the Grecians did oppress Israel with servitude. After you came from the Greek captivity, you went back into the land of Israel, rebuilt the temple because the Greeks were sacrificing swine and pig on the altars. No sooner as you came back to the land of Israel, then the Romans came and had you during the time of Christ as slaves. There was so much slavery going on with the Israelites that Jeremiah himself had to ask. Is Israel just put on earth just to be slaves? Is that your whole purpose? Just to be servitude to other nations? Is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled? So you might be asking yourself, if the so-called Negro is part of the 12 tribes of Israel, how in the world did you get to the west coast of Africa? And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. This is Christ right here speaking to the Israelites. He says, when you see Jerusalem compassed or surrounded by the Roman armies, then know that the desolation or the destruction of the land of Israel is getting ready to happen. The Romans getting ready to come in here and tear some stuff up. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out. And Christ says, when you see the Romans coming in, you better get ready to flee into the mountains. And what you're going to realize is that the mountains that he was talking about was the land of Africa. It was the same exact place that Mary and Joseph took Jesus when they were fleeing from Herod when he was trying to come find Jesus to kill him. They went right into Africa. And the Israelites went into Africa as well, fleeing from the Romans. In the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem. In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state with great slaughter. During the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa, fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery. The slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves. Over 1 million of you Israelites fled from the land of Israel into the land of Africa, running away from the Romans because the Romans was coming to put slaughter to the Israelites. The ones that didn't take heed to the prophecy of Christ, when he said, you better leave and go to the mountains, go to Africa, when they got caught by the Romans, they were taken back to Europe and sold in slavery and put in servitude and became gladiators, put in the lions' dens. The pagans and the Romans attacked the Jews indiscriminately. Both the Jewish soldiers and the uninvolved peaceful population without mercy. As a result of this merciless attack, many Jews fled to those parts of Northwest Africa known as Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, and Mauritania. Many other Jews fled to other areas where Rome did not have any jurisdiction. This was to the region of the south, the Sahara Desert, and the Sudan. Grazel says, such is the explanation of how the Sahara Desert first acquired Jewish tribes, toughened by a fighting tradition and possessed of physical characteristics, black, which it is said still makes them approximate very closely the original Jewish population of Palestine. And after migrating from Israel and dwelling on the northwestern parts of Africa, after you were fighting vigorously with the Romans, you had no choice but to start migrating to the southern regions of Africa, where the Romans didn't have any jurisdiction. Because the Romans were relentless and they were adamant about putting all Israelites to death. So in order to get any type of peace, the Israelites had to start migrating to the sub-Sahara parts of Africa. The scholars know this for a fact. The biblical scholars know this for a fact. They know all the history of the Israelites and their migration patterns. Whatever may be thought of the more or less mythological traditions connected with the earliest Jews in North Africa, it is now practically an established fact that a Jewish nation, Jewish at least in faith, and perhaps too in origin, long held sway south of the Sahara. In later centuries, Jews are believed to have settled in Western Africa during the height of the Songhai, Mali, Ghana, and Kanem-Bornu empires. According to accounts from explorers of the region, several powerful Jewish families of the Songhai Empire were of Jewish origin. Some accounts place West African Jewish communities in the Andu Forest of Dahomey, south of Timbuktu. In the 1930s, these groups still maintained a Torah scroll written in Aramaic that had been burned into parchment with a hot iron instead of ink so it could not be changed. In the 1930s, the historians went over there and still found Israelites over there that didn't get captured in the slave trade, still practicing the Hebraic faith, still knowing who they were. With a Torah, which is the first 5 books of Moses, written in Aramaic. That's the ancient language. And it's a shame that they have to burn it in hot iron so the European colonialists don't come over there tampering with it. and taking the evidence and trying to hide the history. It's a shame that they have to do that. It is a total shame that they have to do that. The Black Jews had an advantage over the African tribes. They carried their culture, history, laws, and written records with them. The Jews made use of every opportunity. They were an industrious and skillful people. In the Jewish Ghanaian states were found kings, princes, governors, generals, secretaries, treasurers, revenue agents, judges, architects, engineers, doctors, historians, language interpreters, mathematicians, jewelers, sculptors, masons, carpenters, painters of art, goldsmiths, leather workers, potters, armorers, saddlers, blacksmith, agriculturalists, etc. Who told you that you was a bunch of Negroes running around on the west coast of Africa, butt naked, swinging from vines? Who told you that lie? You were and still are a prestigious people, a skillful people. The decline of Jewish communities of the West African Maghreb most likely began with the influx of Arab invaders into North Africa starting in 640 CE and later into West Africa in the 1300s and 14 CE. So after you had established communities and empires on the west coast of Africa, after the 7th century, that's when Muhammad and his band of thugs came down there to the west coast with the Quran in one hand and a sword in another one. And they were forcibly converting the Israelites into that nonsense Islam. Yeah, I said it, nonsense Islam, because that's not what we were dealing with. That's the Arabs' religion. That's not what we were dealing with. And that was the decline of the Hebraic community over there in the west coast of Africa. And that was the forefront, the beginning of the slave trade. Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coast of Palestine? Tyre, Zidon, and the coast of Palestine, those are all ancient Africans that God is referring to. Will ye render me a recompense? And if ye recompense me, swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head. Because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians. The Africans got together with the so-called Grecians or the Europeans, and they commenced in selling the Israelites that were dwelling on the west coast of Africa in slavery. There's your slave trade right there in the Bible. Both buyers, Europeans, and sellers, Africans, saw the people traded into captivity on the African coast as outsiders. Now, why did those Africans see you as outsiders? Because you were some people that migrated and encroached on their land. They knew you were not the same exact people. The customs that you had, the way you moved, they knew you were not the same people, so they had no problem commencing in a slave trade with the Europeans. Do you be crazy to believe that Africans were selling their own people? That makes no sense at all. When the Europeans put that in the textbooks, they're using technicalities, saying Africans sold other Africans. When they're using technicalities, what they mean to say is native Africans were selling Israelites that were living in Africa. It'd be no different if somebody wrote history of 500 years from now and say there was a slave trade that happened here in America. Say black people got together and start selling white people to the Chinese. If somebody with the same mindset that the Europeans have wrote history 500 years from now, they would say Americans were selling other Americans to the Chinese. When it's two totally different nation of people living in America. You can't just say Americans sold other Americans. Two totally different people. It's the same exact scenario on the west coast of Africa. There are both oral and written explanations that trace the origin of the Igbo. And the most tantalizing is an association of the Igbo to the Hebrew race. This assumption is based on the fact that Igbo culture has many similar traditional customs like that of the Jews. Similar customs are observed in marriage negotiations, childbirth and circumcision, restitution, attitude to totem animals and taboos, as well as hospitality to others, especially to strangers, etc. The Igbo are therefore said to be the split and lost group or tribe of Israel that refused to wander further northeast with Moses, but preferred going down southward. The Igbo people have many Jewish traditions. Naomi Katz, the current Israeli ambassador in Nigeria, and others point to their possible ancient Israelite origins. See this?
Stop believing a lie that this is all.
Okay, Israel. So you can take that, you can believe that, you can deny it, but the man has done the research. And I want to say this: if you've noticed, a lot of us Hebrew Israelites are coming up on the scene and trying to teach our people, wake our people up. It's because the Most High said, "In our captivity, we will remember ourselves." Let me go to that. Let me show you why. Why so many Israelites coming on the scene, trying to wake our people up, show our people, because the Most High said, once we all turn back to Him and start keeping His laws, statutes, and commandments, He'll come back and redeem us. He'll come back for us. He'll come back and get us. Only His people. Let me show you this. It's Deuteronomy 30. And it shall, okay, let's start at 1. Deuteronomy 30 and 1. And it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse. And look, I showed y'all the curses of why the curses of Deuteronomy 28 fit us black people and scattered throughout the four corners. And since I'm in America, I'm speaking on America. Let me keep going. And it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I've set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whither the Lord thy God hath driven thee. So now we're starting to see. See, we used to read this stuff back in the day, and it didn't mean nothing to us. But now they're calling us to mind. We call them to mind among the nations where we are. Let's keep going. Let me start over at 1. And it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whither Yahweh thy Elohim have driven thee, and shall return unto the Lord thy God, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command this day, thou and thy children, with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that then the Lord thy God shall turn thy captivity. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, we are still in the land of our captivity. Look at it this way. So everybody heard about Vietnam. America went to war with Vietnam. Now, let's just say some people got captured in Vietnam. They were in captivity. And 30 years after that war, the Vietnamese people said, look, we're just going to let y'all go. Y'all can live with us. Even though they so-called free, they're not in bondage no more. They're not in the prison cells no more. They are still in the land of their captivity, just like us. When we got stolen from the west side of Africa, West Africa, brought to America, our ancestors was in captivity. We are still in the land of our captivity. No matter how you want to slice that, you can believe it, you can say it's not true. Listen, go look up the definition for the word captivity. and see, do that fit you? This is still the land of our captivity, no matter how you want to look at it. Deuteronomy 30, verse 3. Then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity and will have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whither the Lord thy God hath scattered thee. In every nation under heaven, there will always be Negroes in every land. There's Negroes in every land. That's because we are his people. We fit the prophecies. We fit the curses. I'm gonna go to another one. Let me finish reading this. And if any of thine be driven out into the outmost parts of the heaven, from thence will the Lord thy God gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. And the Lord thy God will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed. Which means he's not bringing non-Israelites, because the non-Israelites, these aren't their fathers. These are the fathers of the Israelites. He's going to bring us to the land which our forefathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it. That land of Israel, the land over there called Israel right now, plus the surrounding areas, that's all of our land. He's going to get us and take us back to our land and put us there. Let's keep going. And the Lord thy God will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it. And he will do thee good and multiply thee above thy fathers. So we're going to be a greater nation than the Israelites of old was ever. How big they was, and how King David and King Solomon and Saul and Rehoboam, Jeroboam, and all the old kings before. He going to multiply us greater than it was back then. And the Lord thy God will circumcise thine heart. Whose heart? The Israelites. And the heart of thy seeds, to love the Lord thy God with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. And the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thy enemies, and on all them that hate thee, which persecute thee. I've already told y'all we are scattered in every land under heaven. We are scattered everywhere, but in the land that we're particularly in right now, the people that's our enemies and the people that hate us here will get the curses. So everything. So when you look from 1619, when the first slave ships got over here, till now, everything that has happened to our people will happen to the other nations. And every nation has had a hand in our destruction. Let me show you that. Well, I can show you. Let me show you that. That's Psalms. Let me show you that. Google. Psalms. No, let me go to Blue Letter Bible. Blue. PSA 82. Nope. 83. Okay, it says, this is Psalms 83 and verse 1. Keep not thou silence, O God, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. What does that mean? That means today you are African American. What were we before we became African Americans? We don't know, because they have taken crafty counsel against us, the Most High's hidden ones, and consulted against us. Come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom, the so-called, okay, how do I want to describe these people? the people that are over us today in America, the leaders of America, the leaders of Europe, the leaders of Rome, those people, and the Ishmaelites, the people over there in the Middle East, and the Moabites or Moab. Now, some people say that those are the Asians, but I don't know. And the Hagarenes, Gabel, and Ammon, and Amalek, and the Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre, Assur, also is joined unto them. They have hope in the children of Lot, Salah. So everybody has consulted against the children of Israel. Everybody, every nation. Let's keep going with Deuteronomy 30. And the Lord thy God will put all these, this is Deuteronomy 30, chapter 7. And the Lord, Deuteronomy chapter 7, 30, Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 7. And the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thy enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecute thee. And thou shalt return and obey the voice of the Lord, and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day. This is future. This is prophecy. This has not happened yet. Even today, we not, as a nation, keeping his commandments. We are not keeping his commandments, which we supposed to be doing. And for all of y'all that believe what Christianity have taught, that we don't have to keep his commandments, I got another verse for you. Let's go to Ecclesiastes 12. Let's go down to 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. That's it. That is the conclusion of the whole Bible, is to fear God and keep his commandments. That's the whole duty of man. This is still relevant today as it was when this was written, as it was when the Most High chose the children of Israel and brought them out of the land of Egypt, when he gave them the commandments. This is all relevant. The Most High does not change. Malachi 3 and 6. For I am the Lord, for I am Yahweh, I change not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. Now, what's the point of, let's say, any kind of sport? Let's think about your sports. Any sport you like, whether it's basketball, hockey, football, NASCAR racing, drag racing, swimming, tennis. Every sport has what you'll call highlights. And what is a highlight? A highlight is just the highlights of the game or highlights of the event. But at the end of the highlight, it shows you the results of everything else. So the score, let's just say the score. Who won the game, the score. So let's go to the last book of the Bible. Let's read the highlights. What does all this mean? And to get into the kingdom, what must we do? This is Revelation chapter 14, verse 12. Here is the patience of the saints. Now, I've already showed y'all who the saints were according to the Most High himself. I already showed you that. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus, Yahushua. You have to do them both. It's just not having faith in the Messiah. You have to keep the commandments as well. So the Christianity as a religion has taught you that the law of God is done away with. You do not have to keep them. But in Revelation, it's telling you the exact opposite. Yes, you have to believe on the Messiah. Have faith in the Messiah. And yes, you have to keep the commandments of the Most High. It's simple and plain. You have to keep the commandments. You have Christianity telling you that you don't have to keep the law. And you have the Israelites telling you you have to keep the law and have the faith of the Messiah, Yahushua. Or you could say Yeshua, or you could say Yahusha. Look, I don't get hung up on the names because we wasn't there when they were calling him in this. So we don't know exactly how to pronounce it, but the spelling, I know who you're talking about. But one thing I do know, his name was not Jesus. Yahweh, Yahuwah, Yahweh, Yeshua, Yahusha, what? Those are the names. And the Messiah said he came in his father's name. So if his father's name is Yahweh, the son's name is Yahushua. If the father's name is Yahuwah, the son's name is Yahusha. Now, if the father's name is Yahweh, I don't know what the son's name could be. So it's either Yahweh or Yahusha, or Yahweh or Yahusha. Yahweh or Yahweh or Yahu. Yeah, Yahweh or Yahuwah is the father. Yahushua or Yahusha is the son. Nevertheless, Revelation chapter 14, verse 12 says, here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep his commandments, keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus, Yahushua. Here's another thing. So I do want to say this. So put yourself in the shoes of the slaves of old, the ones that was being hung, that was being raped, that was being murdered, that was, that watched their parents get beat, raped, robbed, murdered, all these things. Put yourself in their shoes. Now, before you start calling everybody your brother, ask yourself, do those people that were there in slavery, that went through all these atrocities, do they share the same sentiments that you do about everybody being your brother? Because I guarantee if you was living in those days and you witnessed or went through this stuff and had to be killed or watch your mother get killed, watch your father, look at all these slave movies. Put yourself in those people's shoes. And you tell me, do you believe those people feel the same sentiments that it don't matter your race, we're all brothers? You put yourself in those people's shoes and try to, no, they don't feel the same way. Why do I know that? Because Revelation chapter 13. Let's see how they felt. Let's see how these people felt. Let's start at 13 and 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. So the people of the Most High, and I'm only speaking about the ones that was here in this land that went into slavery in 1619. Those people that were being killed. The people that was the women that got their newborn babies took out their hand just for the slave owners to throw them in the lake or the river or the water to be alligator bait. It's called gator babies. They were alligator. So those people that this stuff happened to, this is what they waiting on. This is what Revelation 13 and 10, this is what they waiting on. They are waiting to put these other people into captivity. They are waiting to kill the people that killed them with the sword to be killed with the sword. This is what it is. This is the truth. This is the Bible that Christianity don't want preached. They tried to take the book of Revelation out of the Bible, just like they took the Apocrypha out of the Bible. They don't want you to read this stuff. They don't want you to know this stuff. They don't want you to know that. Let me read that again. Revelation chapter 13, verse 9 and 10. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. This is what the saints are waiting for. This is what the saints want to happen. The 1700s, those slaves, they waiting on their turn. Because see, the curses are going to be put on the other nations, on the Gentiles. Gentiles mean other nations. I'm so tired of people, unlearned people, saying Gentiles are non-Israelites or non-Jews. That is not what Gentiles are. Gentiles simply means nations. You don't believe me? Let's get it. Gentiles. By these were the isles of the Gentiles. This is the first time the word Gentile has been used. So let's go to Genesis 10. And let's get that understanding right now. Genesis 10, 1. Now these, okay, what was it? Oh, 10 and 5. Genesis 10 and 5. Okay, by these were the isles of the Gentiles. Gentiles. Goy. Let's see what that word means.
Strong's H 1471. Goy.
Gentiles, the Hebrew word goy. Now let's see what this word means. Nation, people, usually of non-Hebrew people, which means it's usually of non-Hebrew people. Let's keep going. Descendants of Abraham. These are Israelites of Israel. So Israel can be called Gentiles. The descendants of Abraham, which are Israelites, can be called Gentiles. Non-Hebrew people can be called Gentiles. Nation can be, swarm of locusts and other animals can be called Gentiles. Goyim is the plural form of Gentiles, which is nation. The word Gentile does not mean anybody that is not an Israelite. It simply means nation. Goy, G-O-Y, means nation. G-O-Y-I-M means nations, plural, with an S. So please, people, before you repeat what somebody else said, do your research. Blue Letter Bible is a great tool to use. This is a scholarly source. Let's put it that way. This is a scholarly source. You will be able to learn a lot if you just simply do the research. And again, I want to hit this. Okay, so we did this Deuteronomy 30. I think I beat that enough. Now I want to go to, even though this is not what I'm even talking about today, I want to go to, I feel like I got to address this. Okay, people, hold on for 1 second. Okay, I'm sorry, family. Sorry, family. Okay, I'm sorry, family. Sorry. Okay. I was going to go to Romans chapter 1. 1 and 16. Romans 1 and 16. Let's add that. Okay, let's go. Romans 1 and 16. Let's look at this. So, for I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believeth, to the Jew first, and also the Greek. So, like I said in my last video, there's two ways you can attack this. Number one, if you're not a Jew or a Greek, this has nothing to do with you. This has nothing to do with you. So if you are a Christian, this has nothing to do with you. It says to the Jew first and also the Greek. So if you're a Jew or Greek, this can apply to you. But this word Greek, people want to say this means Gentile. Nope. Let's see what it says. Let's see what it means. Let's go down to Greek, to the Jew first and also the Greek. Helen. We've already went over this multiple times.
Strong's G 1672. Hellene. Hellene.
Let's see what this word means. This word means a Greek, either by nationality, whether a native of the mainland or of the Greek islands or colony. In a wider sense, it embraces all nations, not Jews, that made the language, customs, and learnings of the Greek their own. The primary reference is to a difference of religion and worship. A Hellen, a Grecian, or inhabitants by extensions of Greek-speaking person, especially a non-Jew. Which means it could be a Jew, or it may not be a Jew, but let's see. What's this word right here? A Hellen, Grecian. So let's find the word Grecian. A Hellen and a Grecian is the same thing. So let's find the word Grecian. Okay, I must have spelled that wrong. CIA. Let me put lowercase GRE. Okay, what is going on? Okay, hold on, y'all. Let me. You ain't got something going on. Let me see. Let's see. Acts 21 and 20. No, Acts 20 and 21. Greeks, plural form, Greeks, Helen, same thing. So I know it's a Grecian. What's Greek? Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. That's why. It's a plural form. I'm putting Grecian as in one. Okay, here it is. So 11, Acts 11 and 20. Let's go to it. Acts 11. I'm sorry, y'all. Now I figured it out. 20. So remember, the word was Grecian. Just the plural form, Grecians. So let's read the verse. Acts 11 and 20. And some of them were men of Cyprus and Cyrene, which, when they were come to Antioch, spake unto the Grecians, preaching the Lord Jesus. So these, who was that? Stephen. So in verse 19, it says, now they which were scattered abroad upon the persecution that arose about Stephen traveled as far as Phoenix and Cyprus and Antioch, preaching the word to none but unto the Jews only. And some of them were men out of Cyprus and Cyrene, just like right here, Cyprus and Cyrene, which when they had come to Antioch spake unto the Grecians, preaching the Lord Jesus. So they spoke to the Jews only. And then the next verse, it says, spake unto the Grecians, preaching the Lord Jesus. So let's see what the word Grecians mean. Grecians, the same word as Helen, except it's the plural form. Let's check it out. Listen to it.
Strong's G 1675. Hellenistes. Hellenistes.
Which means what? Which means a Hellenist, one who imitates the manners and customs or the worship of the Greeks and uses the Greek tongue. Used in the New Testament, Acts is the New Testament of Jews born in foreign lands and speaking Greek. So people in Romans and in Acts and throughout the whole New Testament, the Greeks or Grecians are Israelites. I rest my case. You cannot, right here, from derivative of 1672, a Hellenistic or Greek-speaking Jew, Grecian. So the word Helen, Hellenistes, is the same thing. Oh, man. 104, nobody's in the chat. Nobody's in the chat. Nobody want to come on and talk to you, boy. That's fine. Like I said, if I'm giving edification, that's all that matters. All I need is one. That's all that matters. Now, I guess I will leave this video at that. And until next time, shalom, shalom. And join me next time on another round.